When the lights in the theater flashed on, she saw me, and her face froze in that exact expression I'll remember until the end of my life. My name is Thad, and I'm a dentist in Santa Monica. My wife Caitlin works as a nail technician at a salon near the ocean. We've been together for 5 years, and I always thought I knew her better than anyone. Turns out, I was wrong. It all started 3 weeks ago when her phone rang while she was in the shower. I'm not the type to snoop, but the screen was glowing right in front of me on the kitchen counter. A message from someone named Marcus. Can't wait for our Friday meeting. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. My heart pounded like I was falling off a cliff. My hands trembled as I picked up the phone. Password? Our wedding date. How ironic. The messages opened, and what I saw there turned my life upside down. Photos. Messages. Meeting plans. It all started 4 months ago at a bar on Ocean Avenue, where Caitlin was celebrating her colleague's birthday. Marcus, a university professor, 41 years old, divorced. They texted every day. They met twice a week. I couldn't read further, but I forced myself. On Friday, another meeting was supposed to happen. A premiere movie screening at the mall. I photographed everything and deleted traces of my interference. Caitlin came out of the shower, smiled at me, kissed my cheek. I smiled back, though inside something painful and cold filled my chest. The next day I called my friend Ryan. We've known each other since college, and he's the only person I could trust with this secret. I need your help, I said. And your car. On Friday, Ryan pulled up to my house at 7 in the evening. I hid in the back seat of his SUV, covering myself with a jacket. Caitlin told me she was going out to dinner with girlfriends. Of course. She's coming out, Ryan whispered. Getting into a taxi. We followed. My heart was pounding so loud I was afraid it could be heard even through the engine noise. 15 minutes later, Ryan slowed down. She's at Santa Monica Place Shopping Center, he reported. Waiting at the entrance. I risked sitting up and peeked out the window. My wife stood in a new red dress I'd never seen before. She nervously looked at her phone, then smiled, and I saw him. Marcus was tall, with gray temples, wearing an expensive shirt. He put his arm around Caitlin's waist and they walked inside, laughing about something. Hang in there, buddy, Ryan said. Let's go after them. We got out of the car and entered the mall at a safe distance. Ryan walked ahead like a random visitor and I stayed behind him. Our golden retriever Charlie stayed home. Otherwise he would have recognized Caitlin and ruined everything. They're heading to the movie theater, Ryan mumbled into his phone, pretending to talk. 3rd floor. We took the escalator up. Ryan approached the ticket counter and stood in line behind them, listening to their conversation. 2 tickets for Midnight Echo, Theater 4, back rows, he heard. When they left, Ryan turned to me. They got seats in the last row. Row 14, seats 7 and 8. I felt blood pulsing in my temples. Buy us seats directly behind them. Are you sure? Ryan looked at me with concern. Absolutely. We bought tickets for row 15, seats 7 and 8, right behind the lovers' backs. Got 2 buckets of popcorn and beer. Entered the half-empty theater when commercials were already showing. They sat in front, their heads close together. The lights went out. The movie started, some melodrama I couldn't process. All attention was fixed on the 2 silhouettes ahead. They whispered to each other, Marcus holding her hand. Then, about 40 minutes into the film, he turned to her and they started kissing. Ryan put his hand on my shoulder, holding me back. I sat motionless, gripping the armrest so hard my fingers hurt. 2 meters. 2 meters separated me from the woman I shared a bed with, an apartment, a life, and from the man who took her from me. When the movie ended and the lights came on, Marcus was saying something cheerful to Caitlin. She laughed, turning her head, and saw me. The smile disappeared. Her eyes widened. Her face turned white as chalk. Thad. She whispered. Marcus turned around, looking confused between me and her. Hi, Caitlin, I said calmly, though a hurricane raged inside. Did you enjoy the movie? People started leaving the theater, walking around us. Caitlin stood up, grabbing her purse. I can explain everything. Can you explain why you were kissing this man? I nodded at Marcus. Or how you lied to me for 4 months. Marcus also stood up, looking bewildered. Listen, I didn't know that. Didn't know she was married? I interrupted. Strange, since there's a wedding ring on her finger. Caitlin started crying. Thad, I didn't want it to turn out this way. I fell in love. With him? I looked at Marcus coldly. Wonderful. Then you won't need me. I turned and walked away. Ryan followed. Behind me, I heard Caitlin's voice. Thad, wait. Please. But I didn't stop. The next week she came home and found her things packed in suitcases. I changed the locks. My lawyer was already preparing divorce papers. I need to talk to you, Caitlin said when I opened the door. It's important. I looked at her silently. I'm pregnant, she wiped away tears. By Marcus. Something inside me broke completely. Not even anger, just emptiness. Congratulations, I said. I hope he'll be a good father. He doesn't want the baby, she exclaimed. When I told him, he disappeared. Doesn't answer calls. That I made a mistake. I love you. I always loved. Stop, I raised my hand. You loved me? And that's why you met with another man behind my back? Lied every day? I read all your messages, Caitlin. All of them. You wrote him things you never said to me. She sobbed. I don't know what came over me. He was so different. He listened to me, understood. And I didn't? Bitterness washed over me in a wave. I worked 12 hours so we could live well. I loved you every moment. And you threw it all away for a professor who won't even pick up the phone now. Her face contorted in pain, but I felt no more sympathy. The divorce will be quick, I said. The apartment and all property will be divided equally. My lawyer will send the papers. What about us? She whispered. There is no us anymore. The following months were difficult. I learned from mutual acquaintances that Marcus indeed disappeared from her life after the pregnancy news. Turns out he was looking for fun, not a serious relationship. Caitlin moved in with her sister in Pasadena. Our apartment was sold, the money divided in half. I also learned something interesting. When Caitlin's friends and family heard the truth, that I caught her red-handed at the movie theater, that she was pregnant by a lover who abandoned her, most turned away from her. Her own mother called me, apologizing for her daughter. Colleagues at the salon treated her coldly. Even her sister, who gave her shelter, said she was disappointed. Before I continue, please pause the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new interesting stories. Thank you. Strangely enough, I felt no triumph. Only emptiness where our shared life used to be. But what happened during those months revealed something I never expected. It turned out that Marcus wasn't just a random university professor. He had a reputation. When I started digging, not through any agency or investigation, just through conversations with people who knew him, I discovered he'd done this before. Multiple times. He had a pattern: meet married women, charm them, have an affair, then disappear when things got complicated. One evening, about 2 months after the cinema incident, I got a call from an unknown number. It was a woman named Jennifer. Are you Thad? She asked. Caitlin's ex-husband? Yes, I answered cautiously. I'm Marcus's ex-wife, she said. I heard what happened. I'm sorry. He did the same thing to me, had affairs while we were married, then blamed me when I found out. We met for coffee the next day. Jennifer was a kind, intelligent woman in her late 40s. She told me about Marcus's pattern of behavior, how he specifically targeted women he perceived as vulnerable or dissatisfied in their relationships, how he love-bombed them, made them feel special, then discarded them when the relationship became inconvenient. He destroyed our family, Jennifer said quietly. Our daughter Hannah stopped speaking to him 2 years ago when she found out about his affairs. She was 17 then. Now she's in college and refuses to even acknowledge him at family events. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because I want you to know it wasn't about you, she said. Caitlin didn't cheat because you weren't enough. She cheated because Marcus is a predator who knows how to exploit weaknesses. That doesn't excuse what she did, but I thought you should know. That conversation changed something in me. I realized that while Caitlin had made her choices, she'd also been manipulated by someone who made a hobby of destroying relationships. Meanwhile, Caitlin's situation was getting worse. I heard through mutual friends that she was struggling. The pregnancy was difficult. Her sister was getting tired of supporting her. The salon had let her go, not officially for the affair, but because clients started requesting different nail technicians after the gossip spread. 3 months after our separation, I ran into Caitlin at a grocery store. She was visibly pregnant now, her belly round under a loose dress. She looked tired but not broken. When our eyes met, she froze. Thad, she said softly. Caitlin. We stood there awkwardly for a moment. Charlie, who I'd brought with me, wagged his tail and pulled toward her. She'd always loved that dog. How are you? She asked finally. Better, I said honestly. You? Managing? She touched her belly. It's a girl. I nodded, unsure what to say. Listen, she continued, her voice shaking slightly. I know I have no right to ask, but can we talk? Not about us getting back together. I know that's impossible. But I need to say some things. Things I should have said months ago. Part of me wanted to walk away. But another part, maybe the part that had loved her for 5 years, was curious. There's a cafe around the corner, I said. 30 minutes. That's all I can give you. We sat across from each other with coffee between us. Caitlin looked down at her cup, gathering courage. I was selfish, she started. And weak. When Marcus paid attention to me, I felt special, important. Like I mattered in a way I hadn't felt in a while. You always mattered to me, I said. I know. That's what makes it worse. She looked up, tears in her eyes. You were good to me, Thad. You worked hard, you were faithful, you loved me. And I threw it away because some man with a silver tongue made me feel like the center of the universe for a few hours a week. Why? I asked. What was missing? She was silent for a long moment. Nothing was missing, she said finally. That's the truth I've had to face. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but it was good. I was the problem. I got bored. I wanted excitement. I wanted to feel like I did when we first started dating, that rush of adrenaline, the butterflies, the obsession. So you found it with him. I thought I did, she wiped her eyes. But it wasn't real. It was just fantasy. Stolen moments. Lies and sneaking around. And when reality hit, when I got pregnant and he showed his true colors, I realized I'd destroyed something real for something fake. I sipped my coffee, processing. Marcus contacted me once after everything fell apart, she continued. He sent one message saying he couldn't handle the responsibility and that I should take care of it. Like the baby was a problem to be solved, not a life. That's when I realized who he really was. Did you expect anything different? I asked. A man who helps you cheat on your husband isn't going to suddenly become honorable. No, she admitted. I was stupid. I was so stupid. What do you want from me, Caitlin? I asked directly. Forgiveness, she said. Not for us to get back together. Not for you to help me. Just forgiveness, so maybe one day I can forgive myself. I looked at this woman I'd once loved more than anything. The woman who'd shared my bed, my dreams, my life. The woman who'd betrayed all of it. I can't give you that right now, I said honestly. Maybe someday. But not today. She nodded, accepting. I understand. Thank you for listening at least. We parted ways. I felt lighter somehow, though I couldn't explain why. Over the next few months, I focused on rebuilding my life. I threw myself into work at the dental practice. I started going to the gym again. I adopted another dog, a rescue named Max, who got along great with Charlie. I even started dating casually, though nothing serious. Then, 6 months after the cinema incident, something unexpected happened. I got a call from Hannah, Marcus's daughter, Jennifer's child. We'd exchanged numbers when I met with Jennifer, just in case. Mr. Thad, she said. Her voice was young but determined. I need to talk to you about something. We met at a coffee shop near UCLA, where she was a student. Hannah was a bright, articulate young woman studying psychology. She reminded me of her mother. I want to do something about my father, she said without preamble. He's hurt too many people. You, your ex-wife, my mom, probably others we don't even know about. What do you have in mind? I asked carefully. I want to make sure his employer knows who he really is, she said. The university has a code of conduct. Faculty aren't supposed to have affairs with students or engage in behavior that damages the institution's reputation. He's been teaching there for 15 years, acting like this great moral authority in his ethics classes, while destroying families in his private life. That's between him and the university, I said. I know. But I have evidence. Emails, messages from women he's hurt, testimonies from people willing to speak up. I'm not trying to destroy him for revenge. I'm trying to stop him from hurting more people. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to stay out of it. I'd already moved on with my life. But another part remembered the pain I'd felt, the betrayal. And thought about other men who might experience the same thing if Marcus continued his pattern. What do you need from me? I asked. Just your testimony. What happened when it happened? The university is conducting a review after several complaints came in. Having multiple voices will make a difference. I agreed. Not for revenge, but because it was the right thing to do. The university investigation took 3 months. In that time, 5 other women came forward with similar stories. Marcus had been systematically pursuing relationships with vulnerable women. Some students who'd graduated years ago, some staff members, some like Caitlin who had no connection to the university at all. The university made their decision in the fall. Marcus was asked to resign. No pension, no benefits, just a quiet exit with the understanding that if he didn't leave voluntarily, they would terminate him and make the reasons public. Hannah called me when it was over. "Thank you," she said. "My mom and I can finally close this chapter." "How do you feel?" I asked. "Sad," she admitted. "He's still my father. But also relieved. Maybe now he'll get help. Maybe he'll change. Probably not, but at least he won't be in a position of authority over young people anymore." I ran into Marcus one more time after that. It was at a cafe near the beach. He was sitting alone looking at his laptop. When he saw me, something flickered across his face, shame maybe or anger. He stood up and walked over. "I guess you're happy now," he said. "I'm not happy or unhappy about you," I replied honestly. "You're not important enough to me anymore." "I lost everything because of you," he said bitterly. "My job, my reputation." "You lost everything because of you," I corrected. "I didn't make you pursue married women. I didn't make you abandon Caitlin when she got pregnant. I didn't make you treat your own daughter so poorly that she wanted nothing to do with you. Those were your choices." He stood there silently. "The thing is, Marcus," I continued, "you could have had a good life. You were smart, successful, had a family who loved you. But you threw it away for what? A few thrills? Some excitement? And now you're alone, and it's nobody's fault but yours." I walked away, feeling truly free for the first time since this all began. Caitlin gave birth to a baby girl in December. She named her Sophie. I heard this through mutual friends. By all accounts, she was trying to be a good mother, though life was hard. She'd moved back in with her mother, was working at a different salon, and seemed to be slowly rebuilding her life. As for me, I was genuinely happy. My practice was thriving. I'd started seeing someone, a kind woman named Rachel who worked as a teacher. Nothing serious yet, but promising. Charlie and Max were getting along great. Life was good. 1 year after that night in the cinema, I got a letter in the mail. It was from Caitlin. Inside was a simple card. "Thad, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness and I'm not asking for it. But I wanted you to know that what you did, catching me that night, forcing me to face what I'd done, was the wake-up call I needed. I've been in therapy. I'm working on myself. I'm trying to be a better person for Sophie. Thank you for being honest even when it hurt. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be. Caitlin." I read it twice, then put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I'd respond. Or maybe I wouldn't. Either way, I was at peace. The best revenge, I'd learned, wasn't destroying someone else's life. It was building your own life so well that what they did no longer mattered. Caitlin had to live with her choices, with the knowledge that she'd traded something real for something fake. Marcus had to live with the consequences of his pattern of manipulation and betrayal. Hannah and Jennifer got their closure. And me? I got my life back. Better than before, actually. Stronger. Wiser. More careful with my trust, but not cynical. Ready to love again, but with eyes wide open. That night in the cinema when the lights came on and Caitlin saw me sitting there, that was the moment everything changed. Not just for her, but for me too. It was the moment I stopped being a victim and started taking control of my own story. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the catalyst for the best thing that could happen. My marriage ended, but my real life began. I think about that sometimes when I'm walking Charlie and Max on the beach, or when I'm having dinner with Rachel, or when I'm working on a particularly challenging case at the practice. I think about how close I came to never knowing the truth, to living in ignorance while my wife betrayed me. And I'm grateful, genuinely grateful, that I found out. Because living a lie isn't living at all. The lights came on that night in the cinema, and they haven't gone out since. I can see everything clearly now. And what I see is a future full of possibility, built on truth instead of deception, on self-respect instead of compromise. Caitlin lost a good husband. Marcus lost his career and family. But I didn't lose anything in the end. I gained myself back. The months following my final encounter with Marcus brought unexpected developments. I'd settled into a comfortable rhythm with my life. Work at the dental practice, evenings with Charlie and Max, weekend dates with Rachel. But the universe, it seemed, wasn't quite done with this chapter. It was a Tuesday afternoon when my receptionist buzzed me between patients. "Dr. Thad, there's a woman here who says she needs to speak with you urgently. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's about a personal matter, not dental work." I wiped my hands and stepped into the waiting room. The woman standing there was in her mid-30s, professionally dressed, with nervous energy radiating from her. "Dr. Thad?" she asked. "I'm sorry to bother you at work. My name is Patricia. I was involved with Marcus. About 2 years ago." My expression must have changed because she quickly added, I'm not here to cause problems. I heard about what happened, the university investigation, everything. I wanted to thank you. And to tell you something I think you should know. We stepped outside to talk privately. Patricia explained that she'd been a graduate student when Marcus targeted her. She was married at the time, struggling with postpartum depression after her first child. Marcus had been her thesis advisor. He made me feel seen, she said, echoing words I'd heard before. He was patient, understanding, encouraging. And then it became more. I left my husband for him. Marcus promised we'd be together once I graduated. Let me guess, I said. He disappeared once you were no longer useful to him. Exactly, she nodded. The moment I graduated and expected him to leave his wife, this was before his divorce from Jennifer, he suddenly became distant. Said he'd made a mistake, that we needed to be realistic. I destroyed my marriage for nothing. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because when I heard about the investigation I wanted to contribute but I was too afraid. Afraid of being judged, afraid my ex-husband would use it against me in our custody battle. But then I heard how you handled everything, with dignity, without trying to destroy Caitlin even though she hurt you. It made me realize I was being a coward. She handed me a folder. These are my communications with Marcus. Emails where he explicitly talked about targeting vulnerable women, where he laughed about how easy it was to manipulate them. I want to give these to Hannah for her records. In case Marcus ever tries to get another teaching position somewhere else. I took the folder, feeling its weight both literally and figuratively. There's something else, Patricia continued. Marcus has been posting on social media playing the victim. Saying he was fired because of political correctness and cancel culture, that he's being persecuted for having consensual relationships. He's rewriting the narrative, making himself the hero. This didn't surprise me. Men like Marcus always found a way to avoid accountability in their own minds. He's also been attending a church near Venice Beach, she added. One of those big modern churches. He's telling people there that he's found God, that he's a changed man. Already he's becoming friendly with several women in the congregation. Single mothers mostly. Vulnerable women. My jaw tightened. Thank you for telling me, I said. That evening I called Jennifer and Hannah. We met at Jennifer's house in Beverly Hills, a beautiful place she'd managed to keep after the divorce through smart lawyering. He's doing it again, I told them, explaining what Patricia had shared. Hannah's face hardened. At 19 she had a maturity beyond her years, forged by her father's betrayals. We can't let him keep doing this, she said. But legally we can't stop him from going to church or talking to people. No, Jennifer agreed. But we can make sure the church leadership knows who they're dealing with. Over the next week we compiled everything. Patricia's emails. Testimonies from the 5 women who'd come forward during the university investigation. A timeline of Marcus's pattern of behavior spanning 15 years. Jennifer, who worked in public relations, crafted a professional, non-emotional document that simply laid out the facts. Hannah volunteered to deliver it to the church's senior pastor. She went on a Sunday after service, asked for a private meeting, and presented everything. I'm not asking you to ban my father from attending, she told the pastor, according to what she reported back to us. I'm just asking you to be aware. To perhaps keep an eye on his interactions with vulnerable congregants. To protect your flock. The pastor, to his credit, took it seriously. Within 2 weeks, we heard through the grapevine that Marcus had stopped attending that church. Whether he'd been asked to leave or left on his own, we didn't know. Either way, it was something. Meanwhile, my relationship with Rachel was developing into something serious. She knew everything about my past. I'd been honest from the beginning. One evening over dinner at a beachfront restaurant, she brought up something that had been on her mind. Have you thought about talking to Caitlin again? She asked. I was surprised. Why would I do that? Not for reconciliation, Rachel clarified. But for closure. Real closure. You've done all this work to stop Marcus from hurting other people, but you've never really processed what Caitlin did to you. You've moved on, yes, but moved on isn't the same as healed. I thought about this. Rachel was right. I'd been so focused on the practical aspects of the betrayal, the divorce, the aftermath, that I'd never really sat with the emotional reality of it. I wouldn't know what to say to her, I admitted. Maybe you don't need to say anything, Rachel suggested. Maybe you just need to listen. 2 weeks later I called Caitlin. She was shocked to hear from me. Can we meet? I asked. Just to talk. No expectations, no agenda. We met at a small park in Pasadena, near where she was living with her mother. She brought Sophie, who was now 8 months old. The baby was beautiful, dark hair, bright eyes. She looked nothing like me, which was both a relief and a strange sadness. "She's lovely," I said honestly. "Thank you," Caitlin adjusted the baby's hat. "She's my whole world now." We sat on a bench while Sophie played with toys on a blanket. "I've been thinking a lot," Caitlin started, "about why I did what I did. My therapist has been helping me understand." "And what have you learned?" I asked. "That I was chasing a feeling instead of building a life," she said. "Marcus made me feel like I was in a movie, like I was the star of some grand romance. But real life isn't a movie. Real life is doing dishes together and walking the dog and talking about boring stuff like insurance and grocery lists. I thought that was the problem, that our life was too ordinary. But ordinary was what I should have valued." I listened, not interrupting. "I also learned that I have issues with self-worth," she continued. "When Marcus paid attention to me, it filled a hole I didn't even know I had. But he didn't actually fill it, he just covered it up temporarily. And when he left, the hole was bigger than before." "Are you in a better place now?" I asked. "Getting there," she said. "It's hard. Being a single mother, living with my mom again at 32, working at a salon where everyone knows what I did. But I'm trying. And Sophie, she makes it worth it." "Does Marcus have any contact with her?" I asked. Caitlin shook her head. "He signed away his parental rights. Didn't want to pay child support, didn't want the responsibility. It hurt at first, but now I'm glad. I don't want Sophie growing up with a father who sees her as a burden." We sat in silence for a moment, watching the baby. "I forgive you," I said suddenly, surprising myself. Caitlin looked at me with wide eyes. "You do?" "I do." I realized it was true as I said it. "Not because what you did was okay. It wasn't. You destroyed something good and you'll have to live with that. But I forgive you because holding on to anger was only hurting me. When they found out, I could sit here with you calmly. But this is who I choose to be." Tears streamed down Caitlin's face. "Thank you. You have no idea what that means to me." "I do actually," I said. "Because I needed to say it as much as you needed to hear it." We talked for another hour. About our marriage, about the good times we'd had, about where things had started to fracture even before Marcus entered the picture. It wasn't a happy conversation, but it was honest. And honesty, I was learning, was more valuable than happiness. When we parted ways, I felt lighter. Rachel was right, I'd needed that closure. A month later, I got an unexpected call from Marcus's daughter Hannah. She was crying. "I need to tell you something," she said. "My father, he tried to contact me. He sent me a long email saying he wanted to apologize, that he wanted to be part of my life again." "How do you feel about that?" I asked. "Confused," she admitted. "Part of me wants to believe he's changed. But the other part knows he's probably just lonely and looking for someone to manipulate back into his life." "What did you tell him?" "I told him I needed time to think. But that, I don't know what to do. He's still my father." We met for coffee and I shared something I'd learned over the past year. "Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation," I told her. "You can forgive someone for your own peace of mind without giving them access to your life again. You can acknowledge that he's your father without accepting his behavior." "Did you forgive Caitlin?" she asked. "I did. But I didn't take her back. I didn't give her another chance to hurt me. Forgiveness is for you, not for them." Hannah nodded, processing this. "I think I need to set boundaries. Maybe I can have a relationship with him eventually, but it has to be on my terms. He doesn't get to just walk back into my life like nothing happened." "That sounds healthy," I agreed. Over the following months, I watched as everyone involved in this mess tried to rebuild their lives. Caitlin was doing better. She'd gotten a promotion at the salon, moved into her own apartment, and was dating someone new, cautiously, according to mutual friends. Marcus had apparently moved to San Francisco, where he was working as a corporate trainer. Hannah decided to maintain limited contact with him, occasional emails, but no in-person meetings yet. Jennifer was thriving. She'd started a consulting business helping other divorced women navigate their post-marriage lives. She told me once that dealing with Marcus's betrayal had given her a purpose, helping other women avoid the mistakes she'd made. And me? I proposed to Rachel on a Sunset Beach walk with Charlie and Max as our witnesses. She said yes. We're planning a small wedding next spring. Sometimes I think about that night in the cinema when the lights came on and everything changed. It feels like a lifetime ago, like it happened to a different person. In many ways it did. The man I was then, naive, trusting, unaware of how quickly everything could fall apart, he's gone. The man I am now is stronger, wiser, more careful. But also more compassionate, more understanding of human weakness. I don't hate Caitlin anymore. I don't hate Marcus either, though I have no interest in his life. I simply released them. Released the anger, the bitterness, the need for revenge beyond what naturally occurred through their own choices. Because here's what I learned. The best revenge really is living well. Caitlin has to wake up every day knowing she destroyed a good marriage for nothing. Marcus has to live with a ruined reputation and a daughter who can barely stand to talk to him. Of the consequences they'll face for the rest of their lives. But I get to wake up next to someone who loves me, who chose me with full knowledge of my scars and wounds. I get to build a new life based on honesty and trust. I get to be happy not despite what happened but in some strange way because of it. The lights came on that night in the cinema. And they're still on, illuminating a future I'm actually excited about. That's not revenge. That's redemption. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. The screen now displays a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.